curse each and every one of my wrongdoers with the exact same conditions as I am plagued with for at least 2 decades. As I sit here approaching the age of 30, suffering in every aspect, mentally, physically, emotionally, financially, academically, sexually, vocationally, physically, psychologically, spiritually, religiously, and in all areas and aspects, as though I am not even a human. As I sit here suffering as an innocent person whilst the wrongdoers are out there thriving, I've decided I'm not going to forgive anyone. I curse, sincerely curse, genuinely do curse every wrongdoer, including and especially the racists who have unashamedly, directly, brutally attacked me in private and in public. The truth will out about each and every one of you, and believe me when I say what goes around definitely does come back around. Had you abused anybody, it would have been bad enough, but you have literally abused the most marginalised person. Daughter of a dead elderly father, daughter of a one-eyed widowed, abused, violated mother. I have literally nothing in no one. My own half-siblings who have the finances, the funds, the ability, the knowledge, the awareness, not one of them, nor any of their children, nor any of their extended family have ever come to my rescue, so to speak. And I have been suffering alone, including in social housing, in temporary housing, in this housing, in student housing, fighting all manner of abuse, antisocial behaviour, racism, lookism, sexism, misogyny, every possible type of abuse, including when I've walked through the town centres and little kids have come up to me and said things like, "You fit you, can I have your number?" Or "She's fit her," or, you know, let's be honest, more sexually disgusting wording in a what's the word? I've forgotten the word because my brain is broken. But yeah, you know, people say things, people do things, but when you're constantly targeted wherever you go, I don't need another person to tell me that this is directly targeted and that not everybody else goes through this, right? I have worked so fucking hard to even keep myself alive every day. Right, people make assumptions that I'm some... Not that there's anything wrong with immigrants, let me just preface by saying that there is absolutely nothing wrong with immigrants or migrants, because if you were to really read the history of the world, you would find, my darlings, that most of us are migrants. But for the uneducated EDL followers, let me just say, there is nothing wrong with immigrants or migrants, right? But as the daughter of immigrant parents, and bear in mind, my daddy was born in 1929, so he's probably lived in this country older than your bastard parents. God rest his soul. He wasn't a perfect individual, but compared to the males I see today, let me tell you, my dad was a gentleman. My dad was the epitome of a hard-working father. He wasn't perfect, but he raised 6 mixed-race children on his own. Right? I commend him for that. He may have ruined my sister's life, my life, and my mother's life because of his inadequacies and his elderly age and his issues. But I can't discount the fact that my father raised 6 mixed-race, evil, toxic brats of children who are now in their 60s on his own. The more I think about it, the more I am in awe of my father, because I certainly couldn't have done it. I mean, I couldn't have been a father anyway, obviously, because I'm a woman, but you know, how he did that in that day and age. Bear in mind, if my siblings are in their 60s today, imagine the level of racism in England to have an Indian father and a mixed race dead mother. I can't even imagine. Whew. Oh gosh. In fact, you know what? My dad's been through a lot worse than I've ever gone through. I may have been violated, I may have been attacked, racially abused, whatever, but I know for a fact my dad's gone through much worse. In fact, I was a nightmare daughter, so, I completely admit that I was not a good daughter, and I will live with regret for the rest of my life, probably. But, sorry, I have gone off topic. But yeah, half siblings, evil, 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 evil. Even though their own father was Indian, they hated me for being Indian. It's pathetic. Just because they had a half-white mother, they seemed to act as though they didn't have any of the Indian genetics. But I'm sorry to tell them, you are going to have Indian genetics in you whether you like it or not, because you are, in fact, Indian. So yeah, they need to accept it. Acceptance is key, friends. Acceptance is key. Brothers and sisters, quite literally. How can people of the same blood be so toxic? I just try to think from if I was an elder sibling, right, and my dad had got married, and bear in mind it was my half siblings who viciously encouraged my father to go and find a vulnerable one-eyed village woman, impregnate her, bring 2 daughters into the world, probably for, I don't know, financial security, benefits, free cleaning and cooking and housewife, butler, because that's exactly how my half siblings treated my one-eyed disabled mother, who they physically, verbally and otherwise abused. They used to make fun of her Indian accent. They used to do things like look for her under the table and say, "Where's Leap?" My mother's name. They said that, oh, it's not normal for Indians and Jamaicans to get together. Well, don't fucking blame me. Fucking blame your father and your mother. It's not my fault, is it? Do you realise how traumatic it is for a little Indian girl to be born in England, where you're being bullied at school, you're not being offered employment opportunities as you grow older, your breasts don't develop, your skin doesn't heal, your body is getting uglier and uglier and uglier by the day, to the point where grown-ass men, as well as young prepubescent teenage boys, have the audacity to say things like, look at the fucking state of her, or, on the other hand, sarcastically say things like, she's fit, isn't she? Or I remember once I was sat in a cafe on my own and they came into the actual cafe and started harassing me. So they don't even feel any level of fear. People seem to think I'm just a target to be humiliated and abused. But let's just hope they learn the lessons. And maybe when they have daughters, I curse them. And I curse their daughters to be abused and worse because of what their fathers have done to an innocent child. Because at the end of the day, I'm a child. I remain pure in every sense of the word. I might be approaching 30, but I'm still very much undeveloped and naive and a child. But yeah, listen, people, right? Especially those of you who are abused, bullied, neglected, marginalised in any way, shape or form. Listen, I'm your big sister. I might be the little sister in my family, but let me be the big sister in this space, right? We are not... We are writers, okay? I am a writer, but you cannot write me off. That's what I keep telling myself. I know it's a very lousy sort of, what do you want to call it? It's not even trademark. I can't think of the right word, but yeah, it's not nice. I've been abused by people of different ethnicities. My own ethnicity, people say things like, oh, you're very dark, or you this, you that, and the other. Like, black people are racist towards me, white people are racist towards me. I really don't know where I can go where people will not be racially abusive towards me. I just happen to be born into, quite frankly, the most unfortunate race in terms of casual racism being thrown at us. I just cannot understand how in 2025, as far as I know, all 6 of my half siblings are alive. As far as I know, their children are alive. It's not difficult to find out someone's details, okay? Why has no one reached out? Why has no one bothered? Why my own sister, my own mother, as well as my own 3 half brothers, 3 half sisters, their children, their spouses, their friends and, acquaintances, none of them have reached out. I was born partly because of them, because they encouraged my elderly father to go and fuck a village woman. Because let's be honest, let's not sugarcoat it. That's what their intentions were. Because they didn't want to look after my father. They wanted to fuck about and frolic about and wait for him to pop his clogs and take all the inheritance. And I predicted it, because guess what? They have taken his inheritance. No solicitor, no legal representative, no person anywhere contacted me. The only thing I know is that he definitely died in November 2021, because on the website of that particular funeral home, which, let's be honest, if I was with my father, I would have chosen a much classier funeral home than the Co-op. Okay? They have so much money. One of my brothers is a millionaire, a BAE Systems employee, Saudi Aramco employee. So he's got money. He's got money, engineer money. But the best they could do was have him cremated in the funeral home down the road. The only peace I get is that it says, and I hope to God it's true, that he died peacefully. That's the only peace I get. Right? But the point I'm trying to make is, look how evil your own family can be, your own blood. That I am suffering this severely, as in there is no other woman in this country, in this day and age, in any country in fact, especially of this age, who is left in this much poverty, to the point where I have to pick and choose between the most mundane of items, or go without, or have to beg organisations for, right? It's almost like they wanted me to suffer, because they always used to threaten and abuse me when I was living in the house. Even though it's their fault that I was given an English name, it's their fault that I'm still being abused over that English name, because wherever I go, I can't hide from it. Even after I changed it by deed poll, it's still showing up on all of my NHS records. Obviously, my birth certificate is in that name. My school GCSE certificates are in that name. I can't escape from it. They knew, as mixed race people, that as a full Indian female, I'm going to struggle. I'm going to get bullied. But they could not care less. They knew that they should have advised my father, but they wanted me to be bullied. They saw I'm sorry to say this, but they saw my ugly one-eyed mother, skinny, breastless villager, they just wanted my father to use and abuse her and use her as a slave. But then he went one step further and brought children into the world, right? I know there's much worse stories out there. There are people who are birthed through much worse circumstances, right? But the point is, my evil fucking half-siblings, not one of them has reached out. At least one of them could have rang me and say, okay, he's passed now. Do you want any support? Can we do anything to help you? Thank you for looking after